have to do to turn them on
completely
is
work
just
remotely.
hold on the power
And
button.
you live in some place that's the dream, you know, like that's what the article was saying, but it's,
Hold it
it's
on,
really appealing. I mean, I think
and it's on.
That
It's already
sounds really
If it
my
does
wife
mute,
stayed
it's
here
just a single click,
negative, but she's
and that
good.
single click's on.
She
Like I said, I keep all of these microphones on. I don't mute any of them. And what I do
she's a
myself
nephrology
is
nephrologist.
if people, if I'm hearing Denver
I should remember I was born.
both here.
Yeah, he actually doesn't kind of fully remote, doesn't leave me anymore.
I was west of Richmond, and I think Lisbon's somewhat similar to Richmond, Cascais, Casinos, really fun cities.
But I will,
And
like, I'll mute
they
myself.
put this up, just run through. It's kind of like, because you grew up in a small town, Iowa.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could do
And
that.
I'm just old, so transparent as well.
Yeah, me too, because I grew up here, and I mean, it was,
You have your bike and you go wherever,
right.
and you have to be back probably by supper, and
Yeah, and that's half of that. Though, I mean, kids just don't play as much. But there, the thing is there is
I
that,
have never
you know,
had
I would see kids, especially in the wintertime, surfing fields everywhere. I see them on the train with their surfboards, on the train leaving from Boston. And then there was this other guy I met, South African, spent 20, almost 30 years with him. And a friend of his moved their kids to
but I don't know
Setúbal
if
is
those
a
batteries
area in Portugal. He grew up in that, but his kids would go to school there. But she was bringing her kids to South Africa every once in a while, and she said she was just upset that they just didn't seem like they had an international view of the world, and so they just were like, we're going to take, and they were very, even after one year, they said, that was actually a really destination to change dramatically because that was different. And they struggle at first. So I, and I went to China, in China, and that was the first time I met,
I would say
and I met this one, and this is
you hear me now? Good morning, or bom dia, as we say in Portugal. I hope you're starting to feel in the spirit here. Thanks to Carol for and I'll be the service coordinator here today, and welcome you all here, whether you've been here many times or your first time. Happy that you're here. Whatever faith you've known or not known, whatever your heritage, you're welcome here. Whatever questions you hold, whatever truths you seek, whatever sorrow you have known, whatever joy has filled your heart, whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome, very welcome here. Again, thank you for coming. First is announcements. So you have a page here, and I think they've done a great job of listing out a lot of things all the way through July 22nd on here, July 28th. And I don't know if there's anything that needs to be mentioned in particular. I see John pulling up here, so we'll let him come forward with an announcement. And if anyone else has announcements, we can allow you to come too. This is not on. Now it's on.
Is it on now? No?
Yep.
It is? Oh, good. I'm John Cunningham. This is my last day as president of All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. And I want to thank you for the honor for the last 2 years. And as I turn this over, I think we've come out of COVID pretty well so far, and I'm kind of pleased that we've done that so well. But as I turn it over to Liz Wolf, I don't see Liz here. Okay. As I turn it over to Liz, there's a couple of things I need to say. The church runs on time and money, and we're going to need lots of time and money. All of the activities of the church are done by the teams. All the work is done, and those teams need people. Now, a lot of the longtime members say, and rightfully so, say, been there, done that, and done that, and done that, and done that. And unfortunately, we're a small congregation, and we became much smaller during COVID, and we can't afford to retire. And the other problem is many of our younger members, our newer members are young. They have families and jobs and kids with soccer practice, and when they can't, they do what they can. But they also need to not reinvent the wheel. They need people who know what we've done, what we can do, and the knowledge and experience that the experienced people have. And so things like facilities needs your time. We can't have the same 4 people cleaning the church every week, every month, or what it is. We need everybody to be on the facilities team. And the last thing I want to talk about is welcoming. We're a welcoming community. As Mike pointed out, we welcome beliefs, and we welcome different values and lifestyles. But we need to value people. We need to welcome people. So I'm going to ask all of you longtime members, if you see somebody with a stick-on tag or even a name tag that you don't know, please go up and introduce yourself. That's the way that new members really get incorporated into the church, and it's the way guests feel welcome here. We need to not welcome just their beliefs and their ideas and their values, but make sure that they feel welcome as people. With those things, again, I want to thank you for being your president the last 2 years, and look forward to Liz being able to move us onward and upward. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Hi, this is the last day of Pride, and this is June 30th, and it's been a wonderful Pride month. And I'm together with my wife, Jennifer, who is a transgender woman, and that makes me an ally to her. So that's why I'm wearing my ally shirt. So I just want to acknowledge that everybody who is gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and anybody else who is part of Pride are all welcome, and hope that we all had a great Pride month. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? No. Good. All right. Well, thank you for that, and thanks, John, for your great service for 2 years. And COVID seems like decades ago, doesn't it? So if there's anything else you have questions on, refer to the folks that are listed, or Alan Sogstad is always there to help, and he's at a family reunion today, so that's why I'm filling in for him today. So why don't we go right into our prelude, and Carol will do that, and then will be our chalice lighting and our first song. So you can start getting ready at page 21 in your book like this in front. So we'll get to that soon, but first we'll have Carol give us a prelude, America the Beautiful. Thank you, Carol. Excellent. So I will start with the chalice lighting here, and there's some words, I think they're listed in here, aren't they? Or actually, go turn to 443 in the book. So I have you go on page 21 for the music, but I'm going to have you go to the back first for 223, or 443, and I will light, and you start the reading, and I'm going to pick on Scott here and have him start the reading for us while I'm lighting, all right?
We arrived out of many singular routes, walking over the branching streets. We come to be brothers and sisters around us. We enlarge our voices in common speaking and singing. To try again. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces, the voices stir the surrounding air. This is the reason of cities of homes, of assemblies in the houses of worship. It is good to be with one another.
Thank you, Scott. And I promise I won't pick on anybody randomly. I know Scott is one that's willing to, and he's been up here before, so I know he's safe. He's safe to pick on, right? I didn't realize it was a whole reading like that. That's great. Thanks, Scott. And now we're going to do for the beauty of the earth, correct? We're doing all 4 lines, correct? Okay. And this is one hopefully we're familiar with. All right, let's go. I'm going to turn my mic off. Yeah, that's very, very well-known one. I recall that. Now that I think about it, it's been a little while. The first reading, then I will turn to here, 5:12. I think I have it marked. So then I'll read the regular text. You read the italic. How's that sound? Sound like a deal? Let's do it. All right. For the expending grandeur of creation, words known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations.
We give thanks this day.
For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons.
We give thanks this day.
For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements.
We give thanks this day.
For our human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression.
We give thanks this day.
For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared.
We give thanks this day.
For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom.
We give thanks this day.
For human liberty and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose.
We give thanks this day. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds.
Thank you. have a story here. I don't know if youngsters or anybody, if you want to come forward, you can take a chair up front or sit on the floor or stand. If anybody wants to come forward, do you want to come forward? It's our story of all ages. It's pretty cool. Alan picked this out for me, and it's Bread, Bread, Bread is the name of the story, and if you look at the back, it shows we're going to talk about bread from all over the world. It starts at the United States, it's Peru, France. I was just in Portugal, and it shows a bread, a donut-shaped loaf is sprinkled with sesame seeds. I don't remember eating that in Portugal, but apparently it's there somewhere. Another one from Portugal over here. So we're going to talk a little about this. Do you guys want to sit on the floor, or do you want a chair? Floor is okay, or do you want to stand? You want to stand for now? Okay. So this is kind of a fun little book that talks about bread. You all eat bread? You like bread? No, you don't like bread? Do you like? Oh, but a sandwich. You don't like bread either? No, you don't like bread? Well,
I like a peanut butter spoon.
oh, you like a peanut butter spoon? Now, there you go. I like peanut butter too. That's good. You don't like it on bread. You just want the peanut butter?
Yeah, that's usually for my sister.
You the same? Okay. Well, we're going to talk a little about bread because you do see bread all over, and there are some nice bread stores here. Have you been to some of the bread stores here? In Sioux Falls, there's Bread Smith. Have you ever been there? Or Breadico, two bread stores that I remember that I really like a lot. But maybe someday you'll check those out. So let's take a look at this. So I'll show some pictures of folks here. People eat bread all over the world is what we're talking about. You think so? That sounds true, right? There are many kinds, many shapes, many sizes. So you've seen this kind of bread in the store, right? In a bag? You've never seen that? No. All right. Skinny bread. Have you seen? There's skinny bread, round bread. That's like a pita bread, right? Fat bread, so big, fatter bread. Bread with a hole, so that's the one I was talking about.
Oh, those are like donuts.
You like those like donuts? Yeah, they call those a lot of times a bagel, right? You seen bagels? Crunchy bread, lunchy bread, that's what he was talking about, a sandwich, right? You like sandwiches, so you like lunchy bread, right?
PB&J.
You like PB&J?
Me too.
This one.
I didn't
I think
say
that
I
one,
like,
I like PB&J.
I think that has jelly on it,
I
doesn't
didn't
it?
say I like peanut butter spoons. I said Amelia really does like peanut butter spoons.
Okay.
I like
And bread to soak up your egg. Have you seen bread like that? No. And then here, look at this. You guys know what that is?
pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza.
You like pizza, that's bread, right?
called
Pizza, pretzel, they are bread too. Did you know that?
And
Did you think of that?
And hot dog buns.
And hot dog buns, right. Bread on the table, bread on your head.
Oh yeah, people do that in Japan.
And we'll have to look and see where he's from.
Oh, I can't remember.
Bread is good for you. It makes you strong. It helps you grow. Making bread, shaping bread. Now look at that. Have you ever made bread? Anybody here made bread?
No.
What do they call that when you make bread? You knead, right? Knead bread. That's what they call that when you make bread. Baking bread, toasting bread, cooking bread over the fire. So that's an interesting way. Have you ever, any of you gone camping before?
Yeah.
Have you cooked bread when you've gone camping?
No, we all did.
What?
Evelyn,
Oh.
Amelia, and we did all together.
And what did you eat? Did you maybe make the marshmallows on the crackers? Did you make s'mores? Did anybody make s'mores?
S'mores.
Because a cracker, that's bread, right?
We did s'mores.
Fill up the basket. So here we're filling up baskets. Off to the market.
They put it on.
Bread for sale.
The basket on their head.
And then,
Oh,
yeah, and
that's
then
the butterfly.
breaking. Oh, yeah. You've had that? You like that? Breaking bread together. So today, one more. Have a bite. Delicious. So today we're going to talk about a grocery store. Kristin is going to talk about a grocery store where they have lots of food for people to come and eat. And many people buy the food for their home or for their family. And there's bread there and cereals and all kinds of good things there to eat. So we're going to talk about that. And you all, I think, are going to go to child care session?
Sunday school.
Sunday school. And I don't know who takes you there. Is there someone in particular? Oh, here she is. Okay. So we're going to have a little song as you go out. Thanks for joining me today. And enjoy Sunday school, okay? See ya. Bye-bye. The Spirit of love. I'm still working on how to. I love this walk around mic though. It's great, but I need to learn how to work it. So next is our joys and concerns. So in this congregation, we've found that it's helpful to share our ups and downs of our lives by the practice of taking a stone. So we have this bowl of stones. From the bowl, and you hold the stone for a moment if you like, and then express your thought, your joy, your concern that you have, and then placing the stone in the water, and we kind of use that as an idea that the ripples go out into the whole congregation and into the world, and asking you for help or celebration if it's a joy for you. And I'll begin to just give you an example of I'm taking this stone for my joy of being back here, traveling from, I was in a city called Cascais, Portugal. It's west of Lisbon, and spent a year there, and it's great to be back. Alan, like I mentioned, is on a family reunion item that he had to attend, so I said, yeah, I'd fill in for him, and it's great to be back and see so many new faces and older, not older, but matured faces alike. So put this in there, and then each of you may come up if you like and share a joy or concern. I'll have a microphone ready for you.
My name's Katie Ann Happy. I have a concern. It's for my dear friend Cindy. Her son had just recovered from pneumonia a couple of weeks ago, and he's due to have surgery come July 28th. And we're all hoping that he's not going to get sick anymore after that incident. So he needs to have that gallbladder surgery done because he can't digest food like we all can. So it's kind of important to get that done. Thank you.
You want one stone?
Oh. I forgot to handle the stone in the water.
You can hand to Jen.
I'm Jennifer Halpick, and I went to a funeral of my ex's father yesterday. I was very, how should I put it, like, more like Brooklyn Winter. I didn't recognize everybody there because we were all age so much I didn't recognize anyone. Now my ex is officially an orphan.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm JC. As many of you know, I grew up in a cult, and me and a group of other people worked together to convince that group that they needed to perform a third-party investigation into sexual abuse, and they hired Guidepost Solutions to do so. They did that about a year ago, and just recently the leaders in that organization voted to bury that report after everyone had reported all of their abuse. So it's really unfortunate.
I'm John. I'm going to share what I think is the obvious concern that all of us share this day about the future of our country and the strong likelihood that we could devolve politically into a third world country. So that's my concern.
I wanted to share today that it's Reverend David Kramer's retirement party today. That's happening out in Wisconsin. Several members of the congregation are out there celebrating that with him because he had been here for a while with us not too long ago. So some of you might remember him. And I'm looking around, it's probably not too many of you. But he helped us out quite a bit. Anyway, that's for the retirement of David Kramer. And also, I just want to say it's good to be back. I don't like having COVID. That was the second time. Yuck.
Welcome back.
Hi, I'm Scott. The raspberries are so rich this year. I just skimmed the outside edge last night for about an hour, and I got a gallon's full. If anyone has a spare hour to share with me, I would love to have some help trying to catch up with these things.
Hi, my name's Amy. I really don't like public speaking, but here I go. First, I have a joy for all of you. Made me feel welcome the last couple months. On my concern, I didn't know how much I was going to share today, so bear with me. Thursday, as my daughter was getting on the plane to go back home to Rhode Island, I got notice that I have breast cancer. And I'm going to be fighting this, and I don't know much news. I know some. I'll share with those that want to know. But I just want everybody to kind of be there for support if I need them, I hope. And love y'all.
Oh yeah, I guess I do one final stone just to symbolize all the joys and concerns that we've heard today, and just take a moment of silent reflection to honor all those folks that came forward. So first, I almost jumped ahead. The second song is number 65 in the same gray hymnal. Sweet June Days. And our second reading is 465, also towards the back here. How about we stick with the same? I'll read the text. You read the italics. The wisdom to survive. If we will have the wisdom to survive, to stand like slow-growing trees on a ruined place, if we will make our seasons welcome here, asking not too much of earth or heaven,
then a long time after we are dead, the lives our lives prepare will live here.
their houses strongly placed upon the valley sides.
Fields and gardens rich in the windows, the river will run clear as we will never know it.
And over it birdsong like a canopy.
On the levels of the hills will be green meadows, stock bells and noon shade.
On the steeps where greed and ignorance cut down the old forest,
An old forest will stand, its rich leaf fall drifting on its roots.
the veins of forgotten springs will have opened. Families will be singing in the fields.
In their voices we'll hear the music rising out of the ground.
They will take nothing from the ground. They will not return, whatever the grief at parting.
Memory, native to this valley, will spread over it like a grove, and memory will grow into legend, legend into song, song into sacrament.
The abundance of this place, the songs of its people, its birds will be health and wisdom and indwelling light.
There is no paradise of dreaming. Its hardship is its possibility.
It's written by Wendell Berry, and a real good friend in Georgia. He and I went to the anniversary in Alabama of the walking across the bridge, and Wendell Berry was a very favorite of his. He passed away, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, and just a really, really great man. So our offering, or no, first is the message, and today we have Kristin Johnson here to speak with us, and her husband Greg spoke a while back, and so now she is here to speak to us about Fair Market. Just a little bit about Kristin. She's a native of Leicester, Iowa. She and her husband, Dr. Greg Johnson, moved to Sioux Falls from Illinois. I was thinking Iowa, but it's Illinois is where he moved from. Okay. More than 2 years ago when he accepted a position. And he's since then moved on to a new position he mentioned to me. So he's on to newer ventures also. And I don't know if any of you have had a chance to visit the Fair Market, but started out in a smaller location. And now she's moved. She's on the east part of town in the old. And this dates me. I'm from way back, and the old Gulf store used to be there, but Osted's used to be in that location in the very far east corner. It's Sycamore and 10th Street. That used to be Osted's mail delivery store, decades and decades ago. And now she has a really nice area back there, and I don't know if any of you visited it. I've brought some food there at different times. I've bought a few things there. There's a great selection and great service and help from all of the people there. So I hope that you have a chance to visit sometime, and looking forward to hearing her talk. I'll turn the microphone on for you here, Kristin. Try to clean the desk up a little bit so we can move this out of here. And then here's a water if you need. All right,
Perfect,
thanks.
thank you.
And just as a little, I don't know, can you hear me? As an ad, there is actually another location on the west side of town now, at 4th and Kiwanis, so just north of Thunder Road. We have a second.
Louder, please.
Louder? We have a second location on the north, or in the west end of town. It's North Kiwanis, just north of Thunder Road, about a block. So you can find us on either side of town. Because it's salvage, the stores differ a little bit, but you can find amazing products at both. But today I am here to talk about feeding people and food waste. They are two separate topics, but go hand in hand. You probably wonder why the wife of a doctor is talking about food waste, but I grew up in a impoverished family. I'm the oldest of 10 kids. It was a single income household, and so we had a lot of maybe what would be non-traditional ways of eating. We didn't shop at grocery stores. We grew a lot of what we ate, and then also what we did have to buy, we had to find them at discount places because we just couldn't afford to feed everybody in the, again, traditional sense by shopping at Hy-Vee or something like that. So I am in this space now where I have 2 stores, and I am trying to help reduce food waste and then also give people an option to pay less for what they're eating. And so I'm going to start with some stats a little bit. Globally, there are 828 million people, so nearly a billion, about 10% of the world population, that go to bed every night not knowing where their next meal is coming from, or maybe even in a crisis catastrophe sense, haven't known for quite some time where the next meal is coming from. There's a lot of factors that go into that. I'm going to touch on a few of them just to kind of broaden our education on this, but conflict is a huge one. Conflicts arise all over the world, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza conflict, name your thing. It makes it really, really hard for people to get the food in and then to distribute it in the typical ways of buying or whatnot. Inequality is another huge one. There's just not enough money in some spaces for people to get their needs met. Natural disasters. We look to Iowa, northwest Iowa right now. You go to some of these towns and there's the grocery stores were flooded, people's homes were flooded, and so there are people coming in, bringing in food. And then economic slowdowns make it hard too. People get laid off and again aren't able to purchase what they need. If we bring that to the United States, because that's a little easier for us to wrap our brains around sometimes because we live it every day, there are 44 million people in the United States who find themselves in this exact situation as well. They are part of that 828 million, but 44 million people in the United States don't know where their next meal is coming from or haven't known where their next meal is coming from for quite some time. Factors in the United States are a little different, but similar. Poverty is a huge one. They aren't able to afford their food that they need. Unemployment, underemployment, so either they aren't able to work at all or they aren't getting enough hours to sustain those needs. Supply chain disruptions, we saw that over COVID. We went to the store and wanted to buy what we wanted to buy and it wasn't there. And even 4 years later, we still run into that periodically where stuff just isn't available. And then lack of benefits and healthcare make choices for people really, really difficult. And we all have heard stories, quite certain, of people who need to decide if they're going to go get treatment or feed their family or, pay rent or feed their family. And it makes it really, really hard for people to meet all of their needs simultaneously. So just to kind of give you an overview, that piece is talking about the people who are hungry. If we're going to zoom in a little bit more to what I do every day, food is wasted in a huge scale. Like 40% of all food produced anywhere is wasted. And I know that often we all think back to the spinach we probably threw out this week that was slimy. I am guilty of the same thing, but there are lots of ways that food are wasted, and we're going to kind of cover some of that, and hopefully, we can find ways to all be part of a solution. That 40% of, if we turn it into calories, that is equivalent to 141 trillion calories. I know that's kind of an odd number, but that is enough to give every human 1,249 calories a day. That's including the people who already have enough calories a day. we could give everyone 1,200 calories of food, which is honestly enough to sustain life. And so if we divided all that wasted food up, there'd be enough for everyone who doesn't have enough and enough for everyone who already has enough. And that's how much food is wasted. If we took 5% of that waste, only 5%, and we used it to feed people, we would feed an average of 4 million Americans a day just by reducing our waste footprint 5%. 5% is a fairly small number. If we reduced it by 15%, we'd be able to feed 25 million Americans, and suddenly we're in sight of having not very many hungry people in America. And so if you think about, reducing that footprint more and more, suddenly we have enough. If you do the math really quickly on the back of a napkin, we have enough food for everyone. We just need to get it to them. So distribution is a huge problem, among other things. In 2010, so this is an old stat, but I couldn't find a more recent one, discarded food was the single largest component of solid waste that reached landfills and incinerators. So you think about all of the other things that get thrown away, there is more food in a solid waste sense thrown away than any other component making up the garbage in your garbage truck that drives by or in the landfill that's, sitting out west of town. Produce is a massive problem because of its short shelf life. That's probably the biggest thing that's adding up to this waste. But there's, across the board, all things get wasted. I mean, there's frozen food and shelf-stable food and, name all your different categories, but produce is by and large a huge, huge problem. It also, produce, while it's creating that waste, it also has the largest carbon footprint when being produced as well, because of the practices that we use to grow that food. So if all the surplus were grown, so if we take all of that produce that we're wasting and we move it onto one single farm, so we're going to say, hey, this is the farm where we grow everything we don't use. And I know that sounds funny, but to give you an idea, it would use approximately 80 million acres, which is 3/4 of the state of California. And that's just for growing stuff that we throw out. That's not all the stuff that we use. That's just wasted product. So if we used all of California to grow food, we would just be like, yeah, and we're pitching it in the landfill. And just, thinking about quantities of that, that's kind of mind-boggling. I'm going to quick run through some ways that food are wasted. Some of them you'll be able to impact, some of them you won't, but it gives you an idea, like all along the way of food production, stuff, it happens. So at the very beginning, in the production end of it on the farms, sometimes food is wasted because, let's say, broccoli is being grown in this field and there's just a low market price for it for whatever reason. Maybe there's an overproduction, it was a really great year, so low market prices. And consider that by the time they harvest that product, they're losing money, and so it's easier to write it off as a loss, turn it into insurance and till it back into the ground. So that's huge. We are all aware that everything we buy at the grocery store looks identical in the bin, so all of your apples are neatly lined up. All the apples that are quote unquote ugly, they get wasted. Sometimes they're used. There are companies that are stepping forward and trying to use some of that, but that's a huge problem in the United States. So cosmetic standards are a problem because it's increasing the waste. And then labor shortage. Sometimes you have your field of strawberries and there's no one who wants to work or can work. We all know that, that's a whole different rabbit hole, but this, quality of living and the way we treat some of those workers is really poor, and no wonder we can't get anybody to pick the strawberries. So then it gets tilled under, and but all of the production, environmental cost that went into growing that strawberry is now just wasted by, tilling it back into the ground. Next, once it leaves the farm, we end up in manufacturing, and 90% of the waste at this stage alone is byproduct. So whether it's eggshells or potato peels for making French fries and whatnot, most of the waste here is because once it leaves the factory, we want it to be a certain thing without other parts of that initial product. And so there's a lot of waste at that stage because of us wanting our French fries without skins on them, for instance. there are ways that we could reduce that. Some of it is, but some of it's what consumers get used to, what they're buying, and we want what we want when we want it. And then the variety also creates inefficiencies. So when you think about, for instance, I'm going to use Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops comes, if you go to Walmart, it's probably in 6 different box sizes. But every time they have to change the line to produce yet one more size or one more flavor of Fruit Loops, there's inefficiencies because they had to like clear the line and then start again. And so there's a lot of inefficiency based on the variety that we want when we go to the grocery store. The next stage is retail. So now it's left that factory and warehouse and it's headed to the grocery store. So it's sitting at Walmart, and the demand for variety and quality and quantity causes a lot of waste. So if you went and looked at ketchup right now, I mean, my goodness, there's probably 25 flavors of ketchup. It's spicy and it's smoked and it's chipotle and it's jalapeno and things you can't even imagine. And because I only need one bottle, and there's 15 available, I have to pick one, and then I walk away and don't buy ketchup for 6 months. And then also the quality is an issue as well. There's varying, degrees of what we're buying as far as quality, and when we want what we want. So Joey dropped the bottle of ketchup when he was putting it on the shelf, and it banged to the corner in. You're like, I'm not going to pay full price for the banged corner. I'm going to pick the one that doesn't have the banged corner. So that quality piece is a waste problem. And then quantity. Walmart typically, and this is pretty across the board, Hy-Vee, whoever, they overorder about 30% on purpose when they are ordering for their stores, because if I'm having a party and I want 100 bags of Tostitos tortilla chips, I need to be able to go to Hy-Vee and buy as many as I want and not be mad that they don't have enough, because I don't want to have to go to a second store to meet my need. And so because Hy-Vee never knows when that person's going to need their 100 bags of tortilla chips, they always have enough. But the problem is I only need that maybe once every 3 years. And I know that multiple of us are doing that, but what happens is these tortilla chips sit in purgatory in the back of the store and don't get used, and then the date on the bag, which we'll cover in a little bit, comes up, and then they're like, well, nobody's going to buy this anymore, and so they pitch it. Those are issues at retail. Freshness standards, which is labeling, like the dating and the labeling, which again we'll cover. The dating and the labeling piece accounts for 50% of the waste at the retail stage. So those labels on those bags cause a lot of waste to happen, which is technically unnecessary, but yeah, again. And then food service. So restaurants, cafeterias, hospitals, name your place where you got commercial food service. So variety and quality, again, people want to go to a restaurant and be able to pick their flavor of chicken nuggets, how many is in a box, yada, yada, that kind of thing. The forecasting and the purchasing, just like with the retail side of it, they think, I think I just saw a thing, McDonald's tried a McPlant burger, I think, and it wasn't well received. Well, I can guarantee you there's a lot of McPlant burgers that are about to hit the market on my end. Because they tried it, they thought it was going to be great because their tasters told them so, and it tanked. And so there's a lot of waste on that end. Improper storage, so stuff happens where, weather prevents a truck from getting to its dock appointment on time. It was stored at an appropriate temperature, but it was for maybe 30 minutes longer than they said it should be, or a day or something. And so those loads get rejected because they didn't show up on time because they're worried about, how it was treated while it was in the back of the reefer on the way to the destination. Or even temperature-wise, if it's 2 or 3 degrees off, a store will reject a load, or a food service place will reject it flat out. Like, hey, the lettuce was supposed to show up at 34 degrees, and it was 36. And so things like that happen. And then plate waste. At this stage, about 70% of the waste comes from us just not eating what we were served, or they made too much. Like if you think about a buffet, buffets are extremely wasteful. They have to have enough food for everybody to go through and kind of pick what they want. But then at the end of the day, it's been out long enough that they have to throw it in the garbage. And then home, to our slimy spinach scenario. Poor food management. I mean, we've all been there. You go to Costco or Sam's, and you're like, yeah, we're feeling healthy this week. We're buying a whole, tub of spring mix, and it lasts however many days and we haven't finished it. Or it's cheaper to buy the tub of spring mix than it is to buy 2 smaller ones that we would actually finish. And because we're looking at the almighty penny, we like pick the big one, but then all this goes to waste. The inability to repurpose. This one is huge for me because this is what we grew up doing. When we have, I don't know, let's say you bought a container of peaches and they ripened quicker than you thought. And instead of catching it in time, a lot of times they sit there and everyone's like, I don't know what to do. And the peaches get rotten on the countertop. And instead of, maybe cutting out some spots and saying, well, they're too soft to eat, but we could turn them into jam, a lot of times it just goes in the trash. And then food storage skills and knowledge, which kind of goes along with that. Like, what are the appropriate ways to store your food? Like, for instance, tomatoes should never go in the refrigerator. It affects, the quality of the tomato. But, we don't train or educate people at any stage of our life about how to take care of our food in a way that makes it most palatable for us and to get it used in time. And then also label misunderstanding, which again, we've seen that a few times along the way here. We see the label and we're like, yikes, and it gets pitched. So those are kind of some big key pieces about why food get wasted. On my end at my store, we purchase on the secondary market things that have been rejected by the retail market for Johnny's first day on the forklift and whatnot. Stuff gets damaged, seasonal things. And we try to offer it at a discount at our store. I mean, not even try, we do. We find this stuff for cheap, we sell it for cheap. We sell it, enough of a markup to keep the lights on, but we just want to keep perpetuating that cycle. We want people to have access to food, and I think my big cry for this is it's not just for people who can't afford to eat. This is for everybody. Everyone can make a huge difference in food waste reduction by finding ways to find that food that's about to be wasted and intercept it. And whether that means you get it for free, whether that means you paid a little bit or you have a deal with the CSA farmer, like, hey, you've got a glut of tomatoes, let's figure this out. I think we all have an opportunity to, again, be part of that story and hopefully reduce that footprint. And then, another big piece is education, like getting out there, and we can cover the food labeling later when we're in our small group discussion, but just really educating ourselves about, don't be afraid of the food. Our bodies are equipped to manage a lot of these things, and just really open your repertoire to like ways you can change how you perceive what food is and how we can use it, and to not let, frankly, big marketing tell us lies about what is and isn't okay and safe. And probably to kind of bring it all together a little bit is reducing food waste really is a climate solution that costs $0. Like, I know everyone's like, electric cars are sexy, don't get me wrong. Like, they're fun to drive. They do change like the whole transportation emissions footprint, but this one costs $0 instead of spending $100,000 on an electric car. There's no infrastructure needed and but it really does have massive returns. And I think we all talk about CO2 emissions. The reason food, I think, is even a bigger player is food emits methane when it goes to the landfill, and methane is 28 times more potent than CO2 when it comes to greenhouse gas trapping heat in the atmosphere. And so consider that even though it maybe doesn't, the amount of methane doesn't, in a numbers sense, it isn't equal to the amount of CO2 when we're measuring like tons, but 28 times more potent is a really big deal. So food is a huge player in what we're seeing happening around us. And even, climate change is a whole separate can of worms, but like we can change what's going on by reducing food waste, and it's within reach, and I don't know, there's something everyone can do. So whether it's shopping at Fair Market or not throwing away your spinach because I don't know, found a creative way to use it, you make pesto or something. I just really encourage you to kind of take a look at what you can do, and I think keep talking about it, and I think we can really make a difference. So.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you, Kristin. Excellent. Very good. Thanks. And I'll continue on to our offering, and Carol is going to play the Star Spangled Banner for us, and I'll pass plates around. Or, I'm sorry, My Country 'Tis of Thee. The Star Spangled Banner is last. Yes, My Country 'Tis of Thee. Thank you, everyone. So you can read together with me if you like. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Thank you. And the third song is 1014 in the Teal book. I think it. 1014.
So every
I'll take the blame for that one. Sorry about that. But I'll just go right into extinguishing the chalice at this moment. We're over by just a few minutes. So if you can see the words listed here. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world. And on to Carol. Thank you. And so I'd like to have you join together downstairs. There's, I think there's coffee down there, and at 20 after, then we'll reconvene up here. I'll have some chairs circled up so we can talk a little more, ask questions, your burning questions to Kristin. And then we'll see you next week. Sunday is at Cherry Rock Park for a picnic. So hope to see you there. And I think it shows the time in here, July 7th. That's July 7th. Thought I saw it in here, right? July 7th, potluck picnic, joys and concerns. So I would imagine it starts at, does that start at 10, does everyone know, or 11? Does it start at 10 o'clock? So July 7th at Cherry Rock, but go ahead and have coffee downstairs, and then we'll see you back up here at 20 after, please. Thanks, everyone.